Alright, I'm going to forgo my usual greeting on this one in another video this evening because I just feel like doing that. So, this is a Dear Governor Scott letter, only it's in a damn video because things don't come through as well in print very often as they do when spoken out loud. And what I have to say is very easily misinterpreted. And I will say at the outset, I pose zero threat to any politician. I don't condone unlawful actions against anyone, even though I consider most politicians to be the second lowest form of scum on the earth, right above crooked cops. That being said, my crippled ass would like to put my 2 cents in on a couple of things. And I pay enough in taxes every year that I think I deserve to say at least 1 or 2 things. And even though I know that it's probably going to be just my buddy in the LG's office that ever sees this, and maybe some people on YouTube, maybe they'll throw in some of their own stuff. Hopefully they're all from Florida, because people from outside this state, really doesn't matter what the hell they say. If you think I'm kidding about I pay enough in taxes, I'm in that bracket. I pay a total between federal and state income taxes, and I'm not going to reveal exactly what I make. But I pay a total of 71.2% of my income out in taxes. A couple years ago it was only 68.4%. Now if you want to figure out about how much that is, alright, I'll give you some clues. I'm in that plus 33% of the amount over federal bracket, and the rest is all property taxes. If you want to figure out how much of that is Florida property taxes, remove 11.2%. And I don't think I'm getting my money's worth. Because that's the taxes I pay before I go buy something at 7% sales tax or buy a gallon of gas at even a higher tax rate than that. Don't let me get off on taxes here. You're slipping on your job over there.
I didn't know that was my job.
You don't know much, do you?
I'll work out a signal.
I think it's a great thing that you have proposed a new law which would probably not completely stop, but prevent federal officers from enforcing unconstitutional gun laws within Florida. However, what I would rather see, based on what I've seen networking-wise, strange equipment-wise lately, I would rather see that law just make it a felony for them to even attempt, or for a Florida officer to attempt to assist them in an attempt to enforce any unconstitutional law, not just the gun laws. Now the states have that 10th Amendment right that they can assert. I would greatly appreciate seeing that happen because, quite frankly, what I've seen the past couple of months directly, and what I've seen pointed out to me indirectly, it's really fucking scary. I mean, this is some Russia during the height of the Cold War, worst communism shit that it's actually, federal surveillance is actually worse than Russia ever dreamed of. I mean, they have gone beyond China. We have laws here in Florida against unlawful access to a network, yet they're doing it every day. And quite frankly, I mean, you know, there's a notebook computer, that one's yours, right? But there's a notebook computer over there. I went on ahead and cut the traces to the webcam in the damn thing. Because, quite frankly, I really don't know if it's a gay guy on the other end when they turn them webcams on, watching me whack off to femdomtube.org, or internet porn if you prefer. It really upsets me that they have devices which can turn on the cameras and the microphones in your cell phones. I find it appalling that we let this happen without proper warrants on Florida state soil, well, on U.S. soil at all. And I'm going to do another video to Mr. Obama here in a minute, but I just felt that I would express that I do not feel that I'm getting my tax dollars worth. And quite frankly, as much as I make, I should not have to live on less than fucking welfare scum are getting. But I do, because I like keeping my property. And I like keeping my freedom, and I know that tax evasion is a crime, and I'm in that position to where I can't get out of my taxes. Even retired. It's just that little technicality. And yes, I'm fully aware of the 16th Amendment. I'm also fully aware that it allowed the IRS to be created and collect those taxes which are lawfully owed. I know the Constitution by heart, word for word. If you don't, there's another video in my channel where my raccoons not only spoke it out for you, actually it was one of Anonymous's voices, they put it up there in text. I'd suggest you take the time to read it. I don't mean to be insulting, but some of the things, like, you know, rebranding Common Core as Next Generation Sunshine State Standards. All right, let me tell you how bad Florida's education system is right now, because apparently people in Tallahassee aren't too aware of it. In the past couple of years, and I've mentioned this shit in other videos, I have had a kid that tried to work for me that had what? He had never had a fucking torque wrench in his hand, but had that goddamn Votex certificate. How does that happen? Oh yeah, we were still under No Child Left Behind back then. So perhaps that was the reason. Who knows? I don't. But I find it disgraceful. This whole rebranding and just calling it something else on Common Core and not changing a whole lot. I find it ridiculous. You know, I understand about the pledge being taken out of our schools and it being an option for some schools. I believe are those just the charter schools where it's an option, or is it all the schools can't, or it has to be a private school where they can? I'll have to look that one up in a while, because I find that absolutely appalling. It really upsets me that here in Florida you have people leaving high school with diplomas that neither in social studies, and yes, I've read the proposed curriculum. I've at least skimmed over it. I'm not going to lie and say that I've read it in depth. So you can't say that I didn't correct myself on that one. I was looking for key points that every American should know. It's an insult to my generation that this next generation can graduate high school, and we've already got many of them who have, that neither in social studies or history courses have had to read the Constitution. They're unaware of their rights. They're fed the equivalent of propaganda. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, and I'm sorry that I had to put it that way, but that is an oversimplified that's an oversimplified term. You know, we should never have a kid graduating high school that cannot read. You know, you want to slow down the recidivism rate going to prison, of people going back to prison? Let me tell you something. Most of them are kind of stupid. I mean, number one, they was dumb enough to get caught, so that tells you right there they were not the brightest bulb on the tree. Number two, they were dumb enough to commit a crime to begin with, so that tells you right there that they were not 100% mentally there to begin with, okay? I understand that. You want to slow down that recidivism rate? I've mentioned this before in a couple other things, videos, blogs. You know how hard it is for one of them fuckers getting out of prison to get an ID? Why don't you explain to them on the way out that they need to keep their little discharge ID card or their release papers? And why don't you make it to where that's all they fucking need is to walk into the DMV and get a real ID card? I'm in a position right now, if I was to lose mine today, I would have a really hard time getting a Florida one. We have literally, I've met, what would you say, probably 30, 40, 50 of these homeless guys over the past couple of years that they don't have any fucking ID. They have no way to get it. I mean, they need to borrow an address from somebody to where they can have their birth certificate or their DD-214 sent to, you know, and it's not just 2 forms of ID to get it anymore, it's 6. You got to have a piece of old mail. You know, thank God I was able to recover mine. Had to do it in Alabama and then come back down here. But shit, I should have never had to go through that. If I lost it today, that, you know, hey, I got a place to stay. I can have it back in about 6 weeks. But most of these people don't have that luxury. And a lot of these people that I've met firsthand, up front, close and personal, they're on the fucking streets because it is unlawful. This is from the Immigration Act of 1986. It is unlawful for me or anyone to hire them. Why? Because they have to have birth certificate or baptism certificate or blah 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 plus a picture ID and a social security card. Or you can only let them work 3 days and then you have to let them go if they haven't gotten their... that is quite outrageous. You know, Florida has the opportunity to fix that. As far as I'm concerned, if someone comes in black or white with a southern accent, they don't sound foreign, I should be able to hire them. If they are foreign, they better be able to prove they were either, you know, they've got a green card, because I have a lot against illegal aliens, and the ones who came here legally, I have nothing against. I'll actually, you know, I will help them not any way I can, but I'll at least help them out as much as I feel. You know, I mean, it depends on the individual. I mean, if they look like they're trying, if they're trying to learn English, if they're trying to work, they're not living off welfare, that's the kind I help. The kind that are leeching off fucking welfare, they're just here because, you know, I ain't helping them fuckers for shit. I don't care if they did come here legally. So yeah, I'm a little bit picky, and that's not racism, because we've got illegal aliens and legal aliens of every color of the goddamn rainbow. My family had to come here legally in 1955. I was born here. But if I lost my ID today and didn't have the income that I do, what the fuck? That's kind of alarming that I'd only be able to work 3 days. See, I talk to a lot, one of my projects, I help people at these labor halls. The ones that are really trying. The ones that are there every day. And it ain't their fault that they're, you know, stuck in that rut. And the lady down at the labor hall, I trust her. If I didn't, she wouldn't be, you know, she wouldn't be the labor hall that I pick my people that I'm going to help from. As far as I'm concerned, Florida needs to fix that. And the federal government did reach way outside their boundaries. Like I said, if they got a southern accent, I don't care if they sound like a damn Yankee. As long as they don't sound foreign, I should be able to hire them without any ID whatsoever. You know, if I need a Social Security, if they can fill out that W-4 and that Social Security number passes E-Verify, or I at least don't get a fucking letter back from the IRS saying, this son of a bitch's Social Security number ain't right, you need to correct this, then it should be okay. Or if somebody puts religious objector on that W-4 in place of a Social Security number, that should be okay too, even if they don't have ID. And like I said, I have nothing against people who came here legally. And some of them I will help. Some of them I won't. But the same applies to Americans. People that are living off of fucking welfare and Social Security disability. I know some people on Social Security disability that are able to move around far the fuck better than I am. And yet if I wanted to, I could go jockey a desk or be a greeter at Walmart or something like that. Thank God I don't really need the money. But I had to put that out there just to illustrate that, hey, I hold the same standards to anyone regardless of where they're from. Now, here's the last thing I want to mention in here on why I don't think that I'm getting my tax dollars worth. And without going into details, we have Leos here in Florida, and I have nothing against any law enforcement officer anywhere that from the time they pick up that badge until the time they put it down for good, they do their damnedest to obey the laws that they are sworn to uphold. Unfortunately, and I live in Venice, and Cape Coral, and Inglewood, and every now and then Port St. Lucie. And yes, I own those. But, all right, let me rephrase that. My daughter owns the one in Inglewood. But we have law enforcement officers here in Florida who knowingly and or willingly commit crimes every single day. Those are the ones that I don't like. And the ones who do obey the laws that they're sworn to uphold, hey, you know, I won't help them go bust nobody. I won't rat nobody out. If I introduce them to somebody, there's several here that aren't relatives that, you know, if they're wearing their off-duty clothes and they're sitting in my radio shed or they're sitting down at my dock, I will introduce them to others as deputy dude. Which I also introduced this one as carpenter dude, this one as masonry dude, this one as crazy bitch. And fuck, I didn't even, oh, she did laugh. I really do that. And that's a courtesy because I have friends from both ends of the spectrum. I don't play the game, I just watch the show. But anyone will tell you that I do that. I mean, we've got prison guard dude, we've got jailer dude, we've got Pelican Man lady, we've got, you know, it's according to what they do. If they choose to throw their own name out there and introduce themselves properly, that is their choice. But that comes from my former career. 22 years at the same job and never got fired, so I must have been good at what I did. That or they couldn't find anybody else dumb enough to do the shit. I don't know which, nor do I care. But here in Florida, we have several law enforcement officers. In Tampa, a couple of years ago, we had that one law enforcement officer was caught on camera assaulting his girlfriend 3 or 4 fucking times. Never went to jail until that last time. He should have went to jail the first time. And then when he did go to jail, he got far less than the average person would. We have officers here in Florida that very often commit breaking and entering. There was a case about 6 weeks ago that the guy was not on parole or probation, and the officers, plural, in question did not have a warrant to enter his house. Now, he had just gotten off of parole, but he did discharge. From the point that they entered his house, the officers were guilty of felony breaking and entering. They were on duty and probably carrying their service weapons. I'm not going to say, even though I have seen the footage. Boy, I had some good security cams. I mean, like conviction quality. But find a cop that's going to do anything about it. That's the problem. So, how about we get some laws on the books that say when a cop knowingly and or willingly, I mean, I'm familiar with Florida's Constitution just like I am the U.S. I can recite Alabama's and Tennessee's too. Word for word, and I very rarely miss a word. If an officer knowingly and or willingly commits a crime while on or off duty, from the time they pick that badge up until the time they put it down for good, they will be convicted at the same amount of average time that the average person gets. If the average for a normal person is 10 years first offense, that's what the officer gets. Those firearms enhancements automatically get applied. Carry a gun 5 years. Pull it 10 years. Use it at 25 or life, whichever gets. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. We also need a law that these officers who are telling people who are standing within public view and not obstructing justice, if they're standing 200 feet away or 100 feet away, you know, and limit it to 200 feet, because the average iPhone and what the fuck are those, that one that you got over there? Android, and you know, the average phone, 200 feet's about the most you're going to get the good clear audio with. So allow the officers to tell them to back off 100 feet or 200 feet. Write that right into the law, because I do believe in protecting those officers. But I don't believe in protecting them if they commit a crime. And I don't mean that in the sense that, you know, somebody should shoot them. Although I do consider them to be lower than the lowest whale scum, the scum on the bottom of whale poop, whatever the fuck the lowest form of scum is. I consider them below that. If they hold that badge, then willingly and or knowingly, yes, I know I said that backwards, perhaps that was intentional, commit a crime, I believe at bare minimum they should be held to the same standard as the normal person. If the normal person would go to jail that day and have a $100,000 bound, I believe that officer should get that too. Now, we have a law on the books that if you shoot a cop dog, that it's the same as if you killed a real cop. All right? I don't consider canines to be human beings. So while we're writing that law, how about we protect civilian human beings? Because here in the state of Florida, in the past 7 days, we have had 31 dogs killed by officers. 2 of them were puppies under 8 months old. One of those had papers to prove it. And it wasn't a big enough dog that you couldn't have just kicked the fucker off you. Even my crippled ass could have kicked the fucker off me. Little 30-pound dog come at me, yeah, fuck, I ain't worried about that. 70 pounds, I start to worry. So, while you're at it, why don't you write into that law that if a cop kills a civilian dog without, whether it's with, unless that dog is attacking them, actually has attacked them, that cop goes to jail for murder. Let's make it equal both ways. Because quite frankly, if a cop dog's coming at me and I'm standing there like this and that motherfucker has not called that dog off, me killing that dog is fair game as far as I'm concerned. Snapping that motherfucker's neck or spreading his jaw open to his fucking breastplate, which I'm perfectly capable of doing, to me that's fair game. That's self-defense. And I have very rarely seen an officer call off a dog before that dog's got 10 or 12 chunks in. I can understand if the motherfucker's running. But the minute that motherfucker hits the ground, that dog better be called the fuck off. If that doesn't happen, that guy should have the right to defend himself any goddamn way he pleases. Whether it's a dude or a bitch, I don't care. It should not be a murder of a police officer unless there is a corresponding murder of a civilian for a civilian's dog. That's called equal rights. It's called fair play. Quite frankly, canines are not humans. And if that guy's busy taking that dog down in self-defense, officer's got plenty of time to get in there and fucking take some action his goddamn self. Most of the time they like to stand there and watch the dog hurt a motherfucker. I've seen that up close and personal during my former career. Some of them seem to get off on it. I don't know about the ones today. The ones that I know today, I generally, I will directly say that most of my family are crookeder than the goddamn criminals they're supposed to be putting in prison. And most of their directly associated fellow law enforcement friends are. And in the past couple of months, one of my projects, I used to do a computers for kids project out of my house. A few months ago, around May or June, that account had built up for a few years because I had stopped that project a long time ago. And that was a simple project. Nobody can say that it was for any reason other than I was fresh, retired, bored, and needed something to do. But I'd buy all these, and towards the end I actually had hospitals and stuff donate because they liked what I was trying to do. And then it got to where people wanted me to, oh man, you got to file for a tax exempt status, and you know what? I had depleted the account to where the interest was down to, it wasn't enough because I had more kids participating than I originally thought I would. That was my bad. I should have let the account build up a lot more before I ever started that. But recently, that account has built up, and I started a project where, using organizations like PoliceOne.com and a couple of others, I've been taking half of the interest from that account. The other half stays in the account, A, to pay taxes on it, and B, to let the account build up a little bit. You know, to where maybe down the line, when the red and white takes the account over, if they decide that they want to do the honorable thing and continue the project, that it will, and they don't have to, they're not obligated to, other than it's in my will as a request that they do. But anyway, using sites like Police One and a variety of others, I've been finding fallen officers. And I do background on them. Beyond what you'd find on NCIC. I mean, I go to public records, I go to newspaper articles, and I have an artificial intelligence entity that is excellent at finding anything on anyone without breaking any laws. If it's publicly accessible, Beastie can get it. If it requires a password, Beastie can't get it. Except for within my Westlaw account. He has access to that. He has access to my Facebook account, shit like that. But, you know, those are my own accounts. And all he's doing is reading, so. But in the process of doing this, now my rules are really simple. They cannot have a constitutional complaint on anywhere on their record. They cannot have any incident where they outright committed a crime where it gives me, if I have reasonable doubt that they were not guilty and I am a fair person, I'll still go on ahead and help out the family. But there is a third criteria. The family has to need it, because I've already screwed myself once on this account. But in the process of doing background research on a lot of these officers, Tampa and Orlando seem to be the worst. And yes, I have a beef with TPD over that Vincent that they and Homeland Insecurity / TSA took apart at a fucking roadblock one night. I threw the title on the ground and walked off. At that point, they could have gotten me for littering, but fucking engine cases were off. I'm not accepting that back, ever. In Florida wind and sand? No. So granted, there is a little beef there, and I am a little bit harder when I review one from anywhere in the Tampa area. But believe it or not, I have helped a couple of those families with anonymous little donations. Because I did find a couple that passed my standards, but I found a hell of a lot more between Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Dade, Broward County, Lauderdale, Miami, that I'm shocked that they were allowed to keep their badges. I found a lot of incidences right on YouTube of officers slamming somebody's head into the wall and getting administrative leave. I'm sorry, that's felony assault if you draw blood. And any officer present, there were 2 that I saw in the video, are guilty as an accessory for failing to arrest that motherfucker on the spot. How about, as a favor, which you don't owe me shit, but how about as a favor to me, you fix that. You make a law, or at least make it to where the existing laws get enforced, that will prevent such things from happening. Because, quite frankly, I can show you 3 or 4 places where people are advising publicly that if you're about to get pulled over in Tampa, make damn sure you're pulling over at a place where there are cameras, where you know there are cameras. How about including in that law that if an officer tells someone to turn off a camera and they are within the public view and that person is 100 to 200 feet away, then let's make it a felony for that officer to tell him to turn off that camera. Or at least make sure that that officer at that point in time no longer has a job with any law enforcement agency in the state of Florida ever again. And while I'm in favor of one of the more nutcase ideas that I've read, I'm fully in favor of it. I mean, I've been in favor of it since the beginning of GPS tracking in squad cars. If they're not on a call and they're speeding, let that same tracking system write them a fucking ticket and let them pay the same fine as the same court costs as everyone else. That, I think, is a little bit extreme, because a lot of times it is necessary for them to speed a little bit to catch up to the ones that are speeding. So if they're not on a call and they're catching up to this one, or they're blending into traffic trying to catch people that are, great. You know, I mean, that's kind of acceptable as long as they don't abuse it. And obviously there are points where it becomes abuse. But to get on the real tactics, since okay, I'm not going to say most, but I've seen body cams on a lot of them. We have traffic cams damn near everywhere, which y'all seem to finally be securing. We have dashboard cams in every cop car. How about, while you're up there thinking, you make those publicly accessible, unencrypted, write it into the law that anyone can watch them at any time as long as they're not interfering with the bandwidth. I think that's fair. Or at least make it to where they can carry a USB flash drive or a portable hard drive in, and it will cost them nothing to get a copy of that video. Make it a little bit difficult if you want to. Make sure it has to be a sealed, brand new in the package USB flash drive. Oh shit, that doesn't work, because we've discovered some of those off the shelf lately with some interesting NSA stuff on them. That's to say the least. I mean, retail, off the shelf at fucking Best Buy, that shit just ain't right. And there's no way around that, even with our Florida unauthorized access to a network law. Because if you knowingly and or willingly plug that thing into your drive, into your machine, and it has that Trojan in there, or it has that transmitter in there, whether you knew that those were on there or not, the law is vague enough. I can see where I don't think you could ever get a conviction, although I'd love to see it happen. Because a lot of people don't know what they're plugging into their machines. And it creates a conflict of interest for me to go very far into detail. If you want to know why, there's a friend of mine in the LG's office which will more than gladly explain it to you. Meanwhile, and that's somebody you consider to be a peon. Not janitor level, but not too goddamn far above it. And like I say, these are just some reasons why I don't think I'm getting my tax dollars worth. I pose no threat to anyone. These are just things that I feel strongly about. Now, I understand that it has to go through the State House. I understand that it has to go through you too. So Mr. Scott, Governor Scott, whatever you want to be called, with all due respect, if you've done nothing more than seen this and at least agreed with part of it, do me a favor and do the right thing for the people who live in the state of Florida. Because quite frankly, I don't think the federal government's ever going to do anything about any of this. And quite frankly, Florida's educational system, we've got enough problems without Common Core. Let's go back to real educational systems. A real educational system. I'm much calmer when I'm smoking weed, ain't I? I don't pose a threat to anyone. Physically, I spent the past couple of months, I am just now getting back to where I can walk half-ass good again. And that won't last long, it never does. Now granted, if an officer comes to my door and I tell him to step back, his buddy standing to the right or left of that door or my windows better step back too, because if they've got that weapon out and I see it on the security cams, I promise you what's above the right and left of those doors and windows won't kill them. It'll make them awful sick. And it'll probably scramble their brains, destroying itself in the process. And I'll give you a hint, it uses focused microwave beam energy. But as far as I'm concerned, if somebody has a weapon drawn and I have not seen a warrant, if they're on my property, past the no trespassing signs, which in Cape Coral that happens, used to happen. Believe it or not, I mentioned that to someone on my Facebook. I watched the Cape Coral Police Department on my Facebook. I liked them. I don't know if they liked me back or whatever, but I type in a good morning to them, and I like some of the stuff that they're doing. Believe it or not, Cape Coral, Venice, they have some of the best cops in the state of Florida. We also have one or two here in Venice that, yeah, they should probably move up to Orlando, but I came here to this coast to get away from all that crazy shit. I could have been in South Beach, I could have been in anywhere I wanted to be. I came to this coast because I wanted to gather seahorses, which requires a bunch of licenses that really ain't worth getting. I can go buy some Hippocampus bargibandi for $600, and that's a lot cheaper than that license and gas for the boat, and mask and snorkel is cheap, but quite frankly, you need to modify that fishing law to where if it's for a personal aquarium and you ain't got nothing but a little fucking hand net like this and you're snorkeling around and maybe getting a plant, yeah, tell us to leave the corals alone, but if we find a cool little fish or something, we ought to be able to bring it home and put it in our aquariums, and if it gets too big, as long as we let it go, that should be okay. There shouldn't be no laws against that. At least make it okay for the kids, because for me personally, going around with both of my granddads, regular and great-granddad, on the coast of Florida, all the way around. And literally, we'd start up in Mobile Bay. We'd come in, we'd come down all the way down the intercoastal, go on the outside a little bit. We'd go all the way around to Coral Gables, where one of my grandmothers lived. We'd drop off there, but getting them little seahorses and having them in the aquariums, that is one of the fondest memories of my childhood. And where some idiot made a study a few years ago saying they were endangered, I can go out and spot 100 to 200 on a couple of different grass flats. I haven't done it in a while. I'd have to find a couple of new grass flats probably, because even though they're not prone to migration, they are prone to asshole went across the grass flat, dug his prop in, blew them fuckers a mile away. They got caught in the current, and believe it or not, we have a lot more seahorse. I can count 100 on any given grass flat in an afternoon, easily. You just have to know how to look for them. Actually, you don't have to know how to look for them. You have to know how to look at a plant and look for what's not supposed to be there. And I understand kids under 12 don't need fishing licenses, but these homeless people, they shouldn't need none at all. If they ain't got no address and they need to feed themselves and they can grab a fishing pole, I'm not saying let the people on the boats do it. Shouldn't have to be a cane pole. You know, if somebody gives them a $5 garage sale Zebco rod and reel, or they get one from the thrift shop, they should be able to fish for their dinner if they want to. That's just my opinion. And kids growing up here in the state of Florida, you know, if 18 is the legal age, make it to where 18 is the age where they can't do it no more. But if they want to gather a little seahorse, or if they want to gather some pipefish, or if they want to get, I don't care if they just want to get baby sheep's head and watch them grow up in their aquarium. They should be able to do that. That to me was one of the finest things about coming down here and traveling around with my granddads. I'm from Alabama. But those couple of summers in my childhood were the high point of my entire childhood. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on this subject. Like I say, I doubt that my buddy can even get the LG to look at this, but and I hope that the Leos out there that have seen that part of this understand that the officer who does his absolute best to obey the laws that he is sworn to uphold, like I said, I won't help him bust a motherfucker, but you know, they need to cartooned up, or if I see them hitchhiking on the side of the road, or pick any other scenario you want, I'll help them any way I can. The officers who knowingly and or willingly commit any crime from the time they pick that badge up until the time they put it down for good, I consider them to be the lowest form of scum on the face of the earth. And that goes for just letting your buddies into the stadium without a ticket or paying. Little shit like that. See, because by allowing them to get away with the little shit, that's what emboldens them. That's what makes them think that it's okay to do bigger shit. And it's my opinion that them doing even the little shit is completely wrong unless they face the same consequences as the average civilian would. Yeah, that's my 2 cents worth. Hit that button.